This is an extended audio description video. A male voice explains the visual information. The video starts with the title and text, Inclusive Mobility for Every Traveler.
Inclusive mobility for every traveler.
Miss Ada in a wheelchair is strolling along a path that winds through the expansive Shikisai no Okar Flower Park in Bho, Hokkaido, Japan. And her friend chases after her.
I'm going! Wait for me!
They're enjoying the magnificent view of the flower fields in early summer, which are full of colorful flowers like lavender. The title, Universal MaaS, Inclusive Mobility for Every Traveler, is displayed in text against the backdrop of the flower fields Shikisai no Okar Flower Park. The screen shows a series of scenes. The scene where a man with developmental disabilities and a visually impaired man with a guide dog are standing at a bus stop. The scene where a man in a wheelchair and two children are enjoying the penguin house at the Asahiyama Zoo in Hokkaido, Japan. The scene where a man enjoys the views of the town he is visiting while rolling his suitcase along with one hand and using a walking stick with the other. The scene where a woman with a large suitcase is using her smartphone and looking for an elevator in the station. The scene where a man in a wheelchair visits the city hall for some procedures. Then, Miss Abe, who is a member of ANA, explains the significance of Universal MaaS.
Universal MaaS is for people with mobility impairments, the elderly, and others who are unsure about travel for whatever reason. It is designed to provide value to society by helping these individuals accomplish tasks more easily. We are introducing Universal MaaS with two services. The first is a universal access map which aggregates information to help users get around on foot. The second is one-stop travel support, which facilitates travel by simplifying time-consuming and troublesome arrangements for transport, accommodations, and travel services. We believe these two features together will help reduce anxiety and improve mobility.
The screen switches to scenes where the details of Universal MaaS are explained, and people who are actually using the service give their impressions of it. Firstly, it's about Universal Access Map. The scene shows three wheelchair users, two men and a woman. They are close friends, chatting and laughing as they are making their way along the pedestrian road in Asahikawa's Karamono Koen shopping district. They are using the Universal Access Map on their smartphones to check how to get to their destination smoothly.
For us, it's harder to climb stairs or navigate uneven surfaces, and it takes us longer to reach places that are difficult to access. This service helps us get from one place to another with fewer worries.
In the next scene, Mr. Kobayashi with a visual impairment is walking through Haneda Airport along yellow tactile paving blocks and going to meet up with his male caregiver.
When moving from bus to a train station, for example, we need support, but very often we can't expect it. When providing assistance, I appreciate advance information, which helps me to simulate what I'll do beforehand. This service is very useful for that purpose.
Next is about one-stop travel support. Miss Haraki, a wheelchair user, and her friend are excitedly planning a girls' trip to the suburbs of Asahikawa City, Hokkaido, while looking through various brochures.
How cute! After the Asahiyama Zoo, we'll have some lamb barbecue.
In the subsequent scene, a man is planning a family trip to the popular Asahiyama Zoo using the one-stop travel support app on his smartphone. He enters information about necessary matters, such as using the slope and renting a wheelchair. Then a scene is inserted in which Miss Haraki, a wheelchair user who was planning her trip in an earlier scene, talks about the expanding possibilities of traveling with Universal MaaS. The screen then shows a scene of a man in a wheelchair and his female friend boarding a train to Sapporo at Asahikawa Station using a portable ramp provided by the station staff. In the subsequent scene, Miss Haraki gets on a plane with the help of the ground staff at Haneda Airport.
I'm responsible for planning a trip. But even if my planning skills are limited, I expect these tools to support me and make travel more enjoyable.
であったとしてもこういったツールを使うことでより楽しく旅というもののサポートができるような仕組みになれば。
This is the end of the sequence, collecting the voices of people actually using Universal MaaS.
Voices from business and government users.
The scene cuts to a sequence introducing the voices of businesses and local governments that have adopted Universal MaaS, and people who actually use the service give their impressions. First, a man from Dohoku Bus explains the features of the one-stop travel support. Meanwhile, in the background, the screen shows the scene where Mr. Suzuki in a wheelchair and his mother board the bus at the bus stop using a portable ramp provided by the bus driver during the trip.
One-stop travel support enables us to obtain information in advance, which is a big advantage because we're able to allocate accessible vehicles to people with mobility issues.
The screen shows a scene where Mr. Kobayashi with a visual impairment and his caregiver are visiting the special assistance counter at Haneda Airport. An ANA ground staff who assists them at the counter says,
It's gratifying to think that people who used to find it difficult to get to the airport and felt intimidated by flying will now be able to enjoy air travel.
While a man from Asahikawa Chuo Traffic, a taxi company, talks about the possible use of Universal MaaS for sightseeing, the screen shows a scene where Miss Ader in a wheelchair and her friend are excited about their trip in the Universal Design taxi.
We anticipate there will be significant demand for Universal MaaS by tourists too. We're off! As we focus more on this area, we want to dedicate more of our human resources to it.
While a man from the Asahikawa City Tourism Division talks about the ideal ways to adopt Universal MaaS, the screen shows happy clips of a wheelchair user and two children enjoying the Asayama Zoo.
We would like wheelchair users to visit Asahikawa City by taking advantage of the one-stop travel support service. And we hope that once they arrive, they will use the Universal Access Map to explore the city on foot. We want them to enjoy themselves without having to worry about how to get around.
A man from Asahikawa Electric Railways, a bus company, explains the benefits of Universal MaaS, and then the screen shows a scene of his company assigning buses on the computer.
I think it's good that transport operators like us don't have to make a big investment. With just a little consideration, we can make it easier for a lot of people to get around.
Professor Tetsuo Akiyama of the Research and Development Initiative at Chuo University explains the importance of Universal MaaS. As he explains, the screen shows happy scenes of Mr. Suzuki, who uses a wheelchair, and his mother enjoying ice cream together and smiling in the beautiful flower garden of Ueno Farm in Asahikawa City.
Universal MaaS plays an important role in bringing together transport operators, local authorities, and tourism companies for easy travel planning. The socioeconomic value of Universal MaaS will enrich people's lives. This is essential for a society where no one is left behind.
誰も取り残さない社会を作ろうというときにユニバーサルマースは必須です。
The screen switches to the sequence in which actual users and providers of the Universal MaaS service express what they would like to try with the Universal MaaS service in the future, as well as its future possibilities.
We are at Ueno Farm.
The screen first shows the scene of Mr. Suzuki, a wheelchair user composing music with the iPad, followed by the scene of him traveling on a bus with his mother.
I like to compose music, and I have a musician friend who lives a long way from here. I worry about going there because it's so far away, but Universal MaaS support seems like a good solution.
The screen then shows a scene of Mr. Kobayashi with a visual impairment and his caregiver having a friendly chat about where they want to go on their trip in a cafe area at Haneda Airport.
I love to enjoy nature. Someday I'd like to go on a cruise at Niagara Falls and experience it up close.
The screen shows a scene where three wheelchair users, a woman and two men who were strolling through the Karamono-Koen shopping district in the earlier scenes, are enjoying shopping for sunglasses in a select store.
Of course, I have a strong desire to travel. I really want to travel. Anyway, I hope I can go everywhere.
While in the background, a scene of a man with developmental disabilities and a visually impaired man with a guide dog getting on a bus is shown. A man from Asakawa Electric Railway, a bus operator, talks about the possibilities.
If Universal MaaS spreads across the country, many people will no longer hesitate to go places, and we'll have cities that are friendly to everyone.
A wheelchair user, Miss Aida, eats a lamb barbecue, and her friend takes a picture of her with her smartphone. The screen changes to the inside of the Universal Design Taxi, where they are chatting happily about the places they would like to visit in the future. The screen then shows a scene of them enjoying their trip in Shikisai no Okar Flower Park.
How is it? It's so tasty! The place I want to go is Fukuoka. My dream is to go there on my own, using this kind of service.
In the following scenes, members of the Universal MaaS project try to understand how hard it is for people in wheelchairs to move around tourist sites and in the city by actually moving around in wheelchairs with them and experiencing these barriers.
We make an effort to learn how people who use our services actually feel. So we work together to understand the barriers and difficulties by literally moving about in a wheelchair and experiencing those barriers.
Towards the end, the screen shows a series of scenes of people waving their hands who've appeared in earlier scenes of the video. After the title, Universal MaaS, Inclusive Mobility for Every Traveler, appears in text, the video ends with a message from a project member.
We consider it important to support people who find it difficult to get around because of their disability or age by putting ourselves in their shoes. To that end, we're working together with others to create a world where mobility is for everyone.
We envision a world where mobility is accessible to everyone, regardless of disability, age, gender, nationality, culture, or language. To achieve this goal, we are working with all our customers and partners to ensure the success of the Universal MaaS project.
This concludes the video.